my mother and father was arguing, and he just got up and he left. And I was sitting around my mother, and she was crying. Being young at the age, I'm thinking, okay, she's crying because of an actual broken relationship. But years later, I realized that, she was always also crying, like, how are we going to make it? There's 6 of us, and we were looking to each other, father being the primary breadwinner. We were already struggling financially in a lower middle class neighborhood. And so options is flying through my mom's mind. Basically, is she going to move? What's going to happen? And I remember my mom crying out and praying unto God. And from that moment forward, I believe that she got a lot of direction and inspiration. Groups like the Salvation Army immediately came in, and they began to bridge the gap, to pick up the mantle, and to help us in so many different areas, educationally, financially. The educational part was really a struggle for me because I was documented with about 4 to 5 learning disabilities, and that was a real struggle for me. What the Salvation Army did is that, unlike a lot of other social organizations, is that they didn't come in with their agenda, their plan. This is what you need. Let me prescribe to you our protocol. Basically, they were like, how can we assist you? How can we help you complete the family model and take you to the next level? A lot of organizations, they prescribe what they feel this is what you need. And at times that can be extremely overbearing. The Salvation Army, basically, their job is not to compare or to compete. Their job is to complete. And they basically came to my mother and said, you know what, how can we help you? Here's the actual setting. We have a house, middle to lower middle class neighborhood. My mom has a dilemma. The major breadwinner's gone. She has to make a decision. My mom has never been a woman that sits around and says, you know what, I'm a victim and this is what happened. Meanwhile, who's going to pick up the pieces? And she sought help from groups like the Salvation Army, where they came in not to contrast or to compare. They just came in and said, we're going to complete this model. We're going to bridge the gap. We're going to pick up the baton and give you the assets for success. So what is it that you need? They wasn't basically saying this is what you need. No, what is it that you need? Of course, clothing, income, assistance with heating and electricity. It was absolutely amazing. Didn't have a judgmental spirit. They're like, we are committed to each and every one of your kids' success, Mrs. Harper. And this is how we were able to survive in the neighborhood with other working families. Was it scary at times? Yes. But at every corner, groups like the Salvation Army, in particular the Salvation Army, stepped up to the plate. And it created an environment of security and safety. In an environment of security and safety, you can not only prosper, but you can grow. Because it basically took me out of survival mode. And when a student or when a child is in survival mode, they're not thinking about A's and B's, they're thinking about the next meal. They're thinking about how I'm going to make it the day or the next day. That was covered. And it enabled me to prosper. To the point that I was able to go off to college, play at a great university, and even to the NFL. So now the opportunity comes where, you know what? I have an opportunity to give back. I have an opportunity to reinvest what was invested in me. I believe that the greatest investment is people. The Salvation Army's approach is like none other because they don't pacify, they attack. And they attack every facet of the person. The mental, the physical, the social, and the spiritual. There's very few organizations in the world that attack a person from every perspective. The spiritual aspect, I believe, is the cornerstone of the army. Not so much that they preach or give scriptures or give sermons, but they are manifesting the call of Christ, and they are projecting Christ. Where there is love, the Salvation Army acts as a conduit to give love. When there's a need for love, when there's a need for food, a need for shelter, a need for clothing. And oftentimes what happens is that people say, hey, why are you doing this? Well, it's because of the love of Christ. You know what? I can buy into that. I'm not buying into your words. I'm buying into your actions. Besides, this might be controversial, but people are really tired of hearing about Jesus. I think in the 21st century, they want to see Jesus. They want to see God. And the Salvation Army is basically set up to where they can see every facet of God, whether it's mercy, grace, food, shelter, clothing, in a non-judgmental way. And that to me is amazing. Other religions are welcome. Everyone is welcome. Our job is to manifest God in every facet of God. And that to me is part of the Great Commission in Matthew 28. Go out through the world and manifest the kingdom. That's why I love them.